Chosen one. You did not end up in this circumstance by accident. Heaven meticulously planned this encounter, timing your breathing fights and weary inquiries to this particular moment in time. You are here because the Spirit drew you in. Something in the unseen changed, and your name was invoked in the courts of heaven. This was not an accident. This is a divine appointment. And as you listen, I want you to realize that you are on the verge of a supernatural breakthrough that will completely change the course of your life. The hour that follows for the chosen one is unusual. It has prophetic meaning. It is distinguished by divine coordination. It's the kind of sudden elevation and heaven-sent metamorphosis that ancient saints waited their entire lives to see. The appointed time is not misleading as stated in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. It is rushing to achieve realization. Nagada and your satisfaction. The stillness was a method of preparation. The waiting interval served as an opportunity for alignment. And now heaven is unleashing a holy messenger who will change everything, bringing a blessing and surprise. Prepare your soul. Lean in, because the event that is about to happen has traveled across realms to come at your doorway. Pay close attention. Chosen one. Because the information I'm going to reveal is as important as the weight of heaven. Currently, an object is approaching you, one that is both old in origin and modern in timing. Your body may not realize it, but your spirit is already aware. Heaven's trademark is a subtle quivering in your soul, a stirring in your chest, and the abrupt knowledge that today is different. Whether or not you realize it, divine intention has already altered the next hour of your life. The Anointed One is not imparting empty solace or casual chat. They are carrying an answer, not a fortuitous break, nor a coincidence. A reaction. A response to the prayers you prayed through tears. An answer to the evenings when you thought you wouldn't survive. A response to inquiry that you mumbled into the darkness, believing that no one was listening. Heaven paid close attention. And now someone has been compelled, nudged, and brought into your orbit for a reason beyond their own knowledge. I require that you internalize this message. The event that is approaching you is not unplanned. Orchestration has been implemented. It has been developing beneath the veil for much longer than you may have expected. As you arose this morning, you expected another routine day, but heaven had already planned a supernatural interruption into your itinerary. A conflict between divine timing and your human time frame. A situation in which the invisible realm has an impact on your visible existence. Chosen one, you are not forgotten. You are not disregarded. You are not among the remains of God's attention. No, you are currently standing on the verge of a moment that has been painstakingly constructed for you with the same amount of intentionality that God used to create the universe. It may appear tiny. It's possible it will arrive silently. However, the content it contains will cause you to ascend to a separate spiritual level. I am aware of your views because I have traveled this similar journey. I've had spells of silence that resembled desertion. I've sat in rooms where the only sound was my own breath, wondering if heaven even recognized my name. I noticed the calendar change while nothing seemed to be happening. I felt the anguish of waiting, the kind that deprives one of sleep and settles into their bones. However, I have also gained new knowledge. Heaven's silence does not mean inactivity. Everything happens, even when it looks like nothing is going on. During my own journey, there were times when I thought God had forgotten about me, only to later find that He had been planning a supernatural meeting that would change the path of my life. Initially, I didn't recognize the indicators. I wasn't aware that an angel had touched my shoulder. I didn't hear trumpets ringing to signal the breakthrough. Rather, it came through a person, an unexpected voice, a simple moment, a knock, a call and a conversation that seemed mundane until it became sacred. That is your chosen direction. A human being disguised as a heavenly event. Someone who will not fully understand why they feel compelled to contact you. All they will know is that they were unable to resist the desire. That is how divine assignments operate. Heaven places an indelible burden in an individual's heart which they cannot ignore no matter how hard they try. They may feel restless, distracted, or unusually sensitive to your name or memories. They may try to continue with their regular activities, but they are continuously sidetracked by an inner voice that tells them to go, call, visit, or move now, anointed one. No, heaven is not bringing you entertainment. It is sending alignment to you. What is to come is more than just emotional relief. It will relieve the ache you have been carrying for years. The future has spiritual architecture. It is organized and has a purpose. It is intended to raise, reposition, and guide you into a chapter of your life that you never believed possible. I am aware of this because I have watched God do it in the past. I've seen him elevate those who felt ostracized to the center of divine activity. I've seen him elevate folks who were overlooked and give them opportunities for influence that they never sought. I've seen him provide aid in the form of human hands, human words, and human presence, and each time it was delivered just on time. Heaven's schedule is perfect. It is never early, never late, and always precise. According to Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, the designated time arrives exactly when it is meant. Your assigned moment is quickly arriving, darling. Heaven has observed the loneliness you have been carrying. The prayers you thought would disappear into the ceiling were actually caught. Your patience was not in vain. Your sorrows have not been in vain. Your years haven't been overlooked. There is an upcoming occurrence that will serve as evidence. However, in order to receive it, you must be spiritually awake. Heaven rarely reveals its marvels with fireworks, so this time requires vigilance, sensitivity, and anticipation. It whispers them into the souls of those who are open to hearing. One has been chosen. Please stay with me. There is a wealth of other material that heaven requires you to understand before the hour arrives. I need you to stay present in your spirit. Chosen one, as we continue through this prophetic unfolding. The knowledge being revealed is more than just surface encouragement. It is a direct message from the heart of heaven to the very essence of your existence. The invisible is in motion. The spirit is accelerating. The circumstances around you are being altered in a quiet, subtle manner, yet with full power from God. As I speak, heaven is already synchronizing the motions of the person approaching you with a purpose beyond your comprehension. You may believe that your life has slowed, that the years have silenced your story, and that the most important chapters are behind you. However, the Spirit insists that this is not the case. There are chapters that have yet to be written that are more illustrious than those you have already experienced. The upcoming hour isn't only about getting a surprise. It refers to the awakening of a dormant destiny within you, similar to a seed waiting for its season. Beloved Anointed One, I felt the agony of waiting firsthand. During certain stages of my life, I felt a sense of monotony, as if nothing new had happened on a daily basis, and I began to wonder whether God remembered my address. Despite the mechanical character of the days, the seemingly endless nights, and the arduous mornings, I persisted. I would go to the mailbox only to find that it was vacant. I would sit in a silent chamber feeling insignificant about my voice. However, I've come to realize that God regularly allows life to pause before deploying the individual who delivers the next divine teaching. Silence turns into preparedness. The stillness is converted into calibration. Heaven wants your attention to recognize the significance of the person who arrives. The individual who has been dispatched to you is not an accident. They can't shake the feeling that's been branded on their hearts. Right now, they could be in their car, pacing back and forth in their soul, unable to explain why you keep crossing their mind. They may be afraid to pick up their phone since they are unsure of the explanation for their strong urge to contact you. They may even be praying for themselves, wondering why they are drawn to someone with whom they haven't spoken or communicated in years. This is a demonstration of heavenly orchestration. It is unbeatable despite its subtlety. This force is more powerful than rationality, terror, and even their own goals. It compels people to align with it. The person approaching you is carrying something you own, such as a message confirmation opportunity blessing or breakthrough moment labeled with your name. This moment will have an impact on not just your life, but also the lives of others, for divine appointments are never unilateral. During my own journey, I witnessed similar occurrences. There have been times in my life when an unexpected person entered my life, giving the feeling of a familiar stranger sent on a mission. The words they spoke were not ones I knew I needed. They gave support that I wasn't sure how to request. They exuded a sense of calm that helped to assuage my concerns. And each time something long dormant within me was reawakened. Hope resurfaced. Clarity was restored. The purpose has been reignited. Heaven didn't raise its voice. It was whispered through a person. Chosen one, that same whisper is reaching you. Please be open as the object for which you have prayed is being delivered by human hands. This is how God operates. He encases them in miracles. He conceals advances under mundane circumstances. He combines simple gestures with supernatural meaning, unexpected encounters, and familiar voices. When this person appears, your spirit will recognize them before your head comprehends why. You will once again feel the flutter warmth and inner change that says, "Pay attention." This is significant. Anointed One, I need your entire attention for this message. The anticipation you felt was never a sort of punishment. It was a preparation for the ascent. Heaven has not overlooked your goals. The heavens have not denied your desires. Heaven has not overlooked your sorrows. This hour's timing was methodically built by accumulating, counting, and weaving each moment. You have been in a condition of expectation, but the winds are now shifting. Things that were previously immobilized will start to move. Doors that had been kept closed will begin to open. Conversations that were postponed will suddenly resume. What's to come is not insignificant. It's not symbolic. This is noteworthy. The release of supernatural provision and divine favor, a sense of destiny and a shift in alignment. The hour ahead is filled with more than you can see, chosen one, but heaven can discern it. And as this unfolds, you will begin to see why every experience you have had, loneliness, waiting, quiet, disappointment, has formed you into a person who can receive the present. Please remain with me. There is much more to disclose. Selected One, as we progress, keep your spirit open, as the current occurrences are more profound than mere motivation. This is an issue of alignment. This is an example of visiting. This is heaven's hand changing the course of your story in ways you won't notice until you consider how meticulously each step was taken. Although the movement may not be evident at the moment, the spiritual activity that surrounds your existence is already present. People's moments and favors are dragged into place by invisible currents. Nothing in the present situation is coincidental, and nothing in the future will be trivial. Heaven has begun a process of generational significance. Your life is not in a condition of drift. steering is currently happening. In the coming hour, you will experience a moment similar to entering a foreign spiritual atmosphere through a doorway. One in which events begin to accelerate, align, and awaken in ways you previously thought unthinkable. Anointed One, you must accept a truth in order to prepare for the upcoming occurrences. It is not a waste of time to go through the loneliness, stillness, and sense of being stuck between chapters that you have been experiencing this season. It has been classified as sacred time. Heaven has been gently preparing you, honing your discernment, sharpening your spiritual senses, and healing the sections of your being that required silence before glory could enter you. This rhythm is very familiar to me, as I have had extended periods of time when it looked that God had gone silent. Days when I stared at my phone and wondered why the world seemed to continue without me. Nights when I reminisced about happier times and wished I could go back. However, each time I thought heaven had gone silent, it was actually reordering my existence. I realized that stillness may be used as a strategy serenity, as holiness and absence as preparation. Heaven slows you down before raising you up, chosen one. It depletes your palms before renewing them. It minimizes ambient noise, allowing you to develop an awareness for the sound of destiny approaching you right now. It is possible that you recognized it but opted to ignore it. That memory that reappeared unexpectedly, that dream that felt strangely purposeful, that unexpected moment of clarity and the abrupt surge of emotion. These are not random events. These are signals that something divine is about to happen. It is critical that you understand that when someone is brought to you by the supernatural, they bring more than just comfort. They have activation. They contain revelations. Their presence is critical to unlocking a chunk of your destiny. And this person who is expected to arrive within the next hour is being sent to reawaken a part of you that has been dormant for an extended period. Something you thought age had robbed you of. Something you thought had been interred with the passage of time. Heaven is on the verge of revealing your wrong. I have seen God execute this action numerous times. I've witnessed him rehabilitate people who had accepted their fate as one of decline. I've seen him bring fresh purpose into the lives of people who thought their story had ended peacefully. I recall sitting with someone who was convinced that God had abandoned them only to have a stranger say one thing that rekindled their entire existence. I've seen divine appointments save people from despair, alter their paths, and reconnect them to their calling. And the same God who accomplished it for them is now doing it for you. The orchestration has already begun. Anointed One. The person who is arriving isn't just delivering an item to you. They're eliciting an emotion from you. Heaven still intends to use the insights you possess. Others rely heavily on your remarkable grace. You have spiritual power that has not yet given a clear decision. You were not saved for nothing during this time. You were saved because fate has yet to complete its course with you. Heaven is unwavering in its determination to see that the leftover contents of your being are liberated, venerated, activated, and multiplied. As a result, the opponent has been instilling incorrect beliefs in your mind. Lie about insignificance. Myths about irrelevance. Misrepresentations about being missed. Lying about your existence is no longer deemed credible. He has used the peaceful years to try to convince you that heaven has evolved. However, the enemy only targets the objects protected by heaven. He solely attacks what heaven desires to raise. He is completely opposed to timetables that include breakthroughs. And if the turmoil in your life has intensified, it is because heaven has scheduled an approaching birth. Everything converges, chosen one. Pain, craving, longing, stillness, and waiting. This hour has been the climax of everything. And the creature approaching you isn't just a visitor. It is a divine envoy sent to reveal a part of your future that you were unaware of. When they arrive, a part of you will awaken. An obsolete object will be removed. Something sacred will recover its breath. Maintain an open-minded, eager attitude and be vigilant in your spirit. Heaven is approaching you with intent as the hour progresses. Selected. As we go deeper into this revelation, it is critical that you understand that heaven never gives transformation softly. It's like a gradual shift in the wind that appears almost imperceptibly at first until you realize the atmosphere around your life has altered. Your spirit may not yet have the language to express itself, but it is evident. Something is approaching, pressing and aligning. This alignment is not accidental. It is deeply personal, intentional, and strategic. Heaven does not communicate with you from afar. Heaven is encroaching on your land. It is critical that you understand this message, Anointed One. The gift that will be delivered within the next hour is more than just a form of encouragement. It refers to restoration. It refers to reclamation. It is about God intervening in your life's timeline and hastening the flow of events that should have taken place decades ago. Heaven does not simply replenish what it has lost as it moves. It resurrects what was once buried. It restores what was lost. It resurrects what was once forgotten. Heaven is currently regaining a bit of your being that time has attempted to erase. Many chosen ones have a similar story intertwined with both beauty and suffering. You've dedicated your life to the betterment of others. You've been through seasons of stillness storms that would have destroyed others, borne loads, loved, sacrificed, and given. Although others reaped the benefits of your courage, few understood the strain you carried in secret. You learned to endure adversities without the presence of witnesses. You learned how to pray without earning any recognition. You learned to endure in the lack of recognition. These experiences have shaped, honed, and increased your awareness to the Spirit's whispers. They did, however, leave behind markings not of defeat, but of destiny. This is why Heaven is sending someone to you at this moment, because your story is not meant to end silently. It is designed to intensify. It's meant to broaden. It is designed to revive the portions of yourself that still hold spiritual oil, wisdom, and impact. Heaven is going to show you that your most important days are still unfolding despite the fact that time has tried to convince you that your most memorable times are behind you. Anointed One. I have passed through seasons that appeared to be ending only to discover that they were only thresholds. At times I thought I was about to lose everything, but Heaven was reordering everything. There were times when people withdrew, but God was preparing for new voices to emerge. When loneliness seemed like a punishment, it was actually a type of preparation. And each time Heaven provided someone a voice, a presence, or a moment that reawakened something within me. God's interruptions are never arbitrary. They always come with a purpose. Someone is about to enter your life with a purpose, not just a quick hello or a casual gesture. Objective. Although they may not understand why they feel compelled to approach you, Heaven does. Observe that Heaven regularly operates through human vessels who regard themselves as unqualified. They detect a gravitational influence. They feel the load. The need they feel is sudden and inexplicable, but they comply. Miracles are facilitated by individuals who follow the Spirit's prompting. The person approaching you has been experiencing the stirring for several days, if not weeks. They may have tried to ignore it, but Heaven would not allow it. This is why their arrival is significant. They're not just approaching you, they're being guided. Someone is sent with an anointing that goes beyond personality, intention, and civility. They have timing. They are the bearers of fate. They agree. When destiny and alignment meet, everything transforms. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of a single divinely designed event. Years of silence can be broken with a single conversation. A single sentence has the potential to sever bonds that you thought would last forever. A single person can reignite the silent parts of your spirit that have been silenced by tiredness. Doors that were once thought to be permanently closed can be unlocked in a single instant. This is why heaven continues to underline the oncoming hour, for the magnitude of what lies ahead is beyond human comprehension. It is only perceptible by the Spirit. There is another concept that you must understand. You are not the only person who is preparing. Heaven is also preparing the individual who will arrive. Adversity has purified you just as it has shaped them. They have injuries. Wisdom is theirs. They have compassion that has been honed by their personal struggles. This is what makes them an ideal conduit for the message that heaven desires to send you. They will not simply put a blessing on you. Additionally, you will be a blessing to them. Mutual recognition exchange and awakening will happen. The feeling will be similar to two storylines joining at the exact moment they were meant to intersect. When this happens, you will realize that God has not forgotten you. You will understand that your prayers were not in vain. You will be aware that your tears have been acknowledged. You will realize that every silent night, every unanswered question, and every quiet ache has prepared you for this precise moment. Heaven is reacting to you not with lightning from the sky, but with life marching toward you. Prepare yourself, chosen one. This hour is sacred. This is an intentional visitation. This alignment is divine. And what heaven is about to bring into your life is considerably more significant than a surprise. It is the process of transformation. Chosen one, as we approach the next revealing, I ask you to take a deep inhale and allow your spirit to relax, because the information I am going to share is more than just information. Impartation is the phrase. There is a reason your heart has been racing. Your surroundings have been uneasy, and your ordinary routines have suddenly become insignificant in compared to the impending events. Heaven usually breaks your peace before sending your summons. And whether you realize it or not, this season has been preparing you for a divine collision that is only moments away. One may not consider oneself as prepared. You may not be feeling strong. It's possible that you don't see yourself as capable of obtaining anything spectacular. Heaven, however, does not evaluate your preparation based on your emotions. The chosen one persevered through nights when sleep eluded you, days when hope seemed minuscule, conversations that left you more empty than before, frustrations that made you wonder if anything good could still happen for you. And heaven is measuring your readiness by your endurance. As the chosen one, you persevered. Despite your fragile heart, you remain present, listening and believing in the possibility of a breakthrough. That is sufficient for heaven to move. The person approaching you does not intend to steal from you. They are on their way to unleash a possibility within you. Throughout my life, I've frequently mistaken supernatural connections for chance encounters. Later, I realized that the people I met in the most banal places were responsible for some of my most life-changing experiences. A quiet waiting room, a shopping line, and a bus stop were all places where I let my guard down and had low expectations. Heaven, on the other hand, used such circumstances to introduce me to people who said words that changed my life, offered prayers that lifted me up, or simply stood by me when I couldn't stand alone. The remarkable is hidden among the mundane in heaven, and only those who are spiritually attuned may see its significance. This is why I need to advise you of something both delicate and forceful. Abandon your previous beliefs about how God should deliver assistance. Let go of your expectations for the way your surprise will be presented. Heaven rarely chooses the approach you favor. Rather, heaven chooses the strategy with the greatest impact on your transformation. It's likely that the person in issue is younger than you, and their speech has an innocence that gets past your mental barriers. It could be an older person whose presence brings back memories you thought were long forgotten. It could be someone you remember from your history, or someone you've never met. Their identities are immaterial. What is important is the content they convey. You've been praying for answers, but they're arriving in the form of a person. You have been longing for clarity, and it is now available through a conversation. You have prayed for certainty, and it is now being given to you in the shape of presence. A presence that is not overwhelming, but rather one that brings comfort. The presence of someone who is observing you. Someone who respects you. A person who addresses the core of you rather than the outer shell. I recognize that this may seem strange, especially if you've grown accustomed to managing activities on your own and have learned the harsh lesson that relying on people leads to disappointment. But please listen to me. Isolation may have protected you in one season, but it will constrain you in the next. Connection is necessary for progress. A breakthrough requires unanimity. And what heaven has sent you in this hour is not a dependence. It's a divine partnership. A collaboration that will allow you to take the next step that you were unable to take on alone. This pattern has been noticed in the lives of many people who have been chosen. They endure long periods of silence that, like heaven. However, quiet does not imply desertion. Silence is a method of preparation. Then, following the silence, heaven invariably deploys a person. A person who acts as a bridge between chapters. An individual who assists them with the transition from the previous season to the next. A person who speaks the sentence that unlocks everything. I am convinced that you are currently on the verge of a transition waiting for the hinge that heaven is sending. It is likely that you are ignorant of the amount to which this upcoming meeting will affect you. However, heaven is aware of it. Heaven watches the weight you carry in your chest. Heaven watches the times when you overstate your strength. Heaven sees the discussions you wish you could have but are unable to have with people you used to know. As a result, heaven is dispatching someone with the emotional aptitude to provide a temporary haven for your soul. A person who will not hurry you. Someone who will not pass judgment on you. An individual who will be able to tell the depth of your story by watching how your eyes move while you speak. I require you to realize this reality. Chosen one, you are not difficult to love. You're not overly intricate. You are not too old, too hurt, or too late for heaven to start a new chapter. The surprise that will occur during this hour is not only intended to relieve your loneliness. It is about dispelling the illusion that your story is over because God is not putting someone into your life to remind you of the past. God is sending someone to reveal what has not yet been revealed. This extraordinary experience will awaken a part of you. An inactive entity. Something secretive. Something that has been anticipating the right occasion and tone. That awakening was not an accident. It's deliberate. It is deliberate. Heaven is alerting you that you continue to be vital in ways you have yet to consider. Chosen one, ready your spirit. Heaven is in motion. This hour is weighted. The person approaching has the key to a door you thought would remain locked indefinitely. Chosen one. As we continue to examine this emerging discovery, I'd want to share a thought that will change your perspective on the next moments of your life. Heaven isn't only sending someone to bless you. Someone from the sky is being sent to represent you. Someone who will remind you of the strength you forgot you had, the wisdom you underrated, and the beauty of your perseverance that has gone unsung for far too long. The average person would have been crushed by the hardships you have carried, suffered without recognition, and survived without acclaim for many years. However, your perseverance has prepared you for the future by organizing your actions, tallying your emotions, and inscribing your history in purposeful ink. Not because you were perfect, but rather because you refused to give up. Heaven also acknowledges those who persist in their endeavors. I've noticed a constant trend in the lives of the chosen ones. The chosen ones are not failing. Rather, they are suffering the most sighs, exhaustion, and restlessness just before the most significant adjustments occur. This is owing to the fact that their soul detects vibrations from an approaching object long before their mind interprets them. It's similar to the sense you get when a storm is approaching, yet the sky remains blue. Although you cannot see anything at this time, your spirit is aware. This is the cause of your recent emotional instability, shallow sleep, and mixed feelings of hope and dread. Something heaven-sent is approaching. Therefore, the spiritual atmosphere around you is becoming denser. Furthermore, this is an issue that many people do not understand, Anointed One. They think that divine intervention is always demonstrated by loud miracles, open visions, or heavenly manifestations. However, the truth is that some of heaven's most astounding activities are hidden within the calm human form. A presence with weight that you can feel before they speak, a moment, a speech, or a person. When you enter the room, the atmosphere changes dramatically. God has given them a power that is not inherent in them, but is intended for you. That is what is rapidly approaching. An individual carrying a device specifically designed to relieve the agony you've been striving to conceal. As this is not a theoretical subject for me, I'd like to relate some personal experiences. I have personally witnessed this pattern. I recall a time when I was convinced heaven had become silent. My days felt like rituals, my prayers like echoes, and my optimism seemed fragile. An individual entered my life through the most basic interaction one afternoon with no big announcement. A stranger made a statement that was exact, incisive, and in accordance with a secret supplication. Never previously had I told anyone that my knees were weakening. They weren't familiar with me. They had no reason to engage in conversation with me. They were only following a direction that they were unable to reject. Furthermore, their presence in my life did not instantaneously resolve all concerns. Rather, it heightened them. It was only after that I realized heaven hadn't forgotten about me. Heaven was preparing me by sending the appropriate person at the opportune moment with the appropriate message. A single interaction transformed the course of my life. This is why I am speaking to you with such urgency, chosen one, because I believe you are currently in the same place as I was, straddling the line between tiredness and eagerness. You are in that hallowed area where your spirit senses something approaching, but your intellect is unable to explain it. You're in for a huge task. It's not symbolic. It is transforming. Heaven is sending someone with a chemical that will cleanse the dust from dormant places of your consciousness. You must understand that heavenly appointments are not coincidences. These are coordinated intersections. Heaven checks your history, the prayers you prayed in the dark, the promises proclaimed over your life, and the wounds that still need to be healed, and says, now. Please convey them right away. When the timing is right, the messenger feels a tug. They may be unaware of why your name is recalled. They may be unaware of why they want to contact you, visit you, or inquire about your health. They may not understand the reasoning behind the redirecting of their steps. However, heaven understands. Heaven is leading them toward you with destiny-like precision. This upcoming encounter, chosen one, will bring much than just solace. It will bring clarity. It will serve as a reminder of the parts of yourself that you have since abandoned. It will revive aspirations that had been stifled due to disappointment. It will reignite passions you once thought were too late to explore. Furthermore, it will contradict the implicit deal you have made with loneliness. It is not intended that you conclude your narrative on your own. It is not meant that you continue your trip in obscurity. The Spirit has already whispered your name into their hearts, and heaven is sending someone who acknowledges your worth before you speak. Furthermore, I would like you to consider this if you allow your mind to expand for a bit. What if the event you thought was ending is actually beginning? Is it conceivable that the seemingly impossible phone call is already in the works? What if the knock you prayed for has already been scheduled? What if the statement that will lessen your stress is currently being spoken by another person? Heaven isn't a slow place. Heaven is precise. In addition, this hour has been reserved for your usage. Breathe deeply, chosen one. Be gentle when opening. Stay vigilant. Your heavenly interruption is approaching, and it will result in a metamorphosis that will cause you to exclaim, "I now understand why the battle is so intense." The task grows in proportion to the gravity of the onslaught. In addition, your assignment entails awakening. Selected. I urge you to engage your entire being as we move into this next insight, because the message I am about to convey is more than just an encouragement. Alignment is the term. Calibration is the term. Heaven is altering your internal frequency to allow you to recognize what is approaching you. You've been forced to traverse seasons without direction for an extended amount of time, carrying burdens that were never meant to be handled alone. However, this hour represents a transition. Isolation, which once felt like a sentence, is now a sort of preparation, and stillness, which once felt like abandonment, is now a type of clarity. Heaven has been moving pieces behind the scenes, and the board is now turning in your favor in ways you had not anticipated. You are experiencing a non-arbitrary stirring within yourself. It represents the awakening of your spirit to heavenly activity. Selected. I'd like you to consider a nuanced yet significant topic. Consider how many times you've felt overlooked by somebody who should have been concerned. Consider the days when you waited for a phone call that never came. The times when you replayed previous conversations, wondering where things went wrong, and the nights when you stayed awake, convinced that your life had become too quiet, too little, and too invisible. Despite this, a small spark within you has refused to die. A flame supported by heaven. Even in your darkest moments, a flame flared. Furthermore, that flame is the reason why heaven is currently deploying someone. Your narrative does not end in solitude. It is expanding due to divine intervention. The person approaching you carries a burden that goes beyond mere solace. They represent spiritual recognition. They have a unique ability to penetrate the surface, perceive the value of your existence, and appreciate the significance of your presence, all without the need to know your background. They will not show you pity when they enter your life, whether by a phone call, a chat, or an unexpected visit. They will greet you respectfully. They will not see you as a person in need of rescuing. They will see you as someone who is worth meeting. The significance of this distinction is that selected persons are rarely honored in the areas where they have contributed the most. Heaven frequently sends respect through strangers' fresh alignments and unexpected faces who communicate what known faces fail to recognize. You must also prepare your emotions for the likelihood that this encounter will serve as a reminder of a past version of yourself, one full of courage, conviction, and potential. Life has taken a great deal from you. You have aged as a result of your experiences. You are silent from loneliness. However, a spiritually discerned, lively, and powerful version of yourself remains hidden behind the exhaustion of waiting. And heaven is determined to revive that iteration. Instead of introducing you to something new, God occasionally sends people to reintroduce you to yourself by holding up a spiritual mirror that reflects your identity rather than your wounds. Anointed One, I need to address a sensitive area of you. For years, you've convinced yourself that getting help is a burden. You have trained your heart to contract whenever someone displays concern. You've expressed regret for occupying situations where you should have felt safe. However, you will not have to apologize for this interaction. This will seek permission to receive open and view. The individual approaching you does not intend to expose you. They're on their way to elevating you. They're on their way to transfer stuff for which you shouldn't be liable alone. And their presence will feel oddly familiar, as if heaven had intertwined your stories long before you met. I'd like you to recollect a time in your life when someone unexpectedly emerged and delivered a statement that was so exact and timely that you knew it wasn't a coincidence. Maybe that happened decades ago. It is probable that it happened recently. However, individuals who have been picked have repeatedly encountered these types of indicators. Those little spiritual nudges that let you know you are not forgotten. Within the next hour, the identical sensation will be multiplied. Heaven is not giving you any hints. Heaven is sending you a confirmation. And this is the reality you must face with audacity. This engagement is not only meant to bring emotional comfort. This marks a critical turning point. This is a prophetic hinge. This is the point at which your story takes a turning point. You may have thought you were in the twilight season, but heaven is changing your outlook. There are chapters within you that have yet to be awakened. You have assignments that have yet to be discovered. Furthermore, the person approaching is a key, not the complete door, but the key that unlocks the door you intend to enter. Prepare for recognition. Chosen One. Prepare for the warmth that awaits. Prepare for a connection that is spiritually focused, emotionally nourishing, and divinely familiar. The surprise does not come entirely from the stuff they deliver. The waking is the surprise. And the heavens are pushing us to be watchful. Maintain an open mind. Maintain a positive mindset. Your divine appointment is almost approaching. Chosen One. As we enter the next phase of revelation, I encourage you to let your spirit to inhale, as heaven's work is both subtle and impactful. It is possible that you will not feel any strong feelings. It's possible that you're unaware of the fire descending from the sky, yet a deep part of you is shifting toward conformity. The atmosphere in your life is becoming more purposeful, and your heart is starting to interpret signals that your head cannot yet understand. This is how heavenly appointments arrive, in a slow, steady, and undeniable way. I need you to be open as we move forward, because heaven is not just preparing you to accept someone. Heaven is preparing you to understand why they were dispatched. The most difficult portion of the journey for many chosen ones is not the waiting itself, but the uncertainty around the reason of their wait. You are aware of the experience of hoping without details, praying without deadlines, and persevering without explanations. You've gone through seasons where your deepest soul whispered that something was coming, but nothing substantial happened. Eventually, the silence becomes more like a sentence than a season. However, chosen one, you were ignorant that heaven was not putting off your breakthrough. The divine was enhancing your ability to do so. You did not receive any type of punishment. Your preparations were beginning. And now that preparation is serving its intended purpose. Heaven is sending you someone who will not only change your surroundings, but also your identity. For an extended period of time, you have viewed yourself through the lens of what you have lost, who has died, and what has yet to happen. However, this miraculous encounter will act as a reminder of your true identity, hidden beneath the weight of time and disappointment. This individual is being given the opportunity to communicate with the part of you that still believes dreams and hopes. Furthermore, waking is not the consequence of emotional manipulation, but rather of spiritual remembrance. I am delighted to share a personal matter with you, as authenticity is essential in situations like mine. I went through a moment in my life when I felt completely disconnected from myself. I was taking all of the proper procedures. I was functioning. I was about to arrive. However, there was a sensation of calm inside. I got the impression that the most dazzling qualities of myself had reduced as a result of the responsibilities of life. Someone unexpectedly entered my world. A person I did not expect. A person from whom I had no expectations. They said one thing that restored a part of me that I had thought was gone forever. Recognition for a certain moment. A single instance of visibility. One instance of spiritual contact. I suddenly rediscovered my identity. Heaven sent that person to replace the life power that had been drained from me. The identical scenario is currently unfolding for you. An individual who possesses a frequency that your spirit acknowledges is being sent by heaven. Their presence will generate a sense of exhaling. Their voice will be reminiscent of lucidity. Their remarks will be experienced as a type of medication. Not because they are immaculate, but rather because they have been well prepared. Heaven has sculpted them through their own storms, refined them through their own losses, and strengthened them through their own disputes, resulting in a combination of compassion and authority when they stand before you. They will refrain from voicing their thoughts based on theoretical grounds. They will speak from experience in the same way as you. Their lives have also been touched by divine interruptions, which is why they will be able to clearly discern the mark on yours. I require your comprehension of an extra matter which may trigger a tremendous emotion within you. Heaven never assigns anyone to a chosen one unless there is a shared destiny involved. This suggests that the guy approaching you is not only delivering an item to you. Additionally, they are arriving due to the fact that you are carrying an item for them. Your spirit holds a store of wisdom, strength, and grace that will satisfy a need that people are unable to describe. Additionally, the moment your lives connect, you will not experience the sensation of receiving aid from an unknown stranger. It will evoke the impression of two jigsaw pieces eventually finding their rightful position. This spiritual link is not unilateral. It's mutual. Heaven does not squander alignments. Furthermore, this is the stage at which your heart requires additional preparation. It is critical that you allow yourself to rediscover religion. It is critical that a glimmer of optimism be allowed to enter communities where despair has endured for years. You must be open to the possibility that God has not yet finished your story, because the most major barrier to accepting this heavenly surprise is not timing, but rather desire. The willingness to answer the call, to open the door, and to relax enough to let God bless you via another person. Heaven is preparing your heart so that you will not reject what you have hoped for simply because it is delivered in an unfamiliar way. Chosen one. The upcoming encounter will be divinely timed and unexpected. It will be distinguished by the tenderness of grace and the gravity of intent. It will arrive silently, but it will leave you feeling profoundly changed. Additionally, as this hour progresses, preserve your spiritual equilibrium. Do not be apprehensive. Do not hasten. Do not repress your sensations, for heaven is conveying movement rather than just a single instant. Your life is shifting into a supernatural alignment, and the person approaching possesses the next piece of your developing destiny. Or the individual who has been chosen. As we go through this prophetic unfolding, it is critical that you understand the scope of the true events that are taking place in your proximity. Regardless of the tiny clues and delicate murmurs, this moment has unquestionable spiritual significance. You may have felt a peculiar sense that something is approaching, a tug in your chest or a restlessness in your spirit. You may have rejected it as pure emotion or imagination. Heaven, on the other hand, does not agitate the chosen one for no reason. Every internal change, every murmur, and every sensation has been a beautiful preparation for the coming event. You are reaching a heavenly crossing, a point in which the timetable of heaven and your timeline intersect. This is the cause for the unexpected sensations, the fact that your thoughts have drifted in unfamiliar directions, the resurfacing of memories that you have not visited in years, and the sense of both expectation and vulnerability. The earth surrounding your heart is being loosened by the sky to allow the next seed to take root. And that seed is on its way in the form of a person whose presence will alter the atmosphere within you. I must be open in this situation. Chosen one. A part of you has existed in a semi-conscious condition. Trauma, disillusionment at loss, loneliness, and routine. They have reduced your expectations and dimmed your senses. In order to prevent being inflicted by loud noises, you have acquired the capacity to exist silently. You have earned the power to limit your optimism in order to prevent it from betraying you once more. You have gained the capacity to anticipate minimum in order to lessen the impact of disappointment. These are common human reactions that have been inspired by true misfortune. However, they do not accurately portray your true self. Your whole potential has always been recognized by heaven, despite the fact that life may have enticed you to lower your head. This is why a person is currently being dispatched from heaven. To awaken what has lain dormant within you rather than to save you in a dramatic way. Chosen ones, it is obvious, do not abandon their calling. They succumb to the load of survival and fall unconscious. However, heaven never forgets the sound of your destiny, and it sends genuine, imperfect, yet anointed folks to knock on the door of your spirit and whisper, "Awaken." There is extra information available to you. I recall a point in my life when I felt disconnected from the things that had previously brought me joy. The amount of obligations has grown. Loss had left a hollow within me. During the ride, I stopped anticipating fresh developments. Then one morning, I had an unexpected encounter with someone who delivered a single line that broke through the darkness in which I had been living. It wasn't profound in structure, but it was profound in impact. It was as if the voice of heaven was utilized to flip a switch within me. I felt alive, present, and conscious for the first time in months. This is how divine appointments operate. They do not require fireworks. Timing and obedience are required. The person who heaven is sending to you has been prepared in the same way. They have felt the impulse to reach out, show up, check on you, and speak with you, as well as the tug and prod. They may not fully understand the contents of their baggage, but heaven does. And as soon as they reach your orbit, something changes inside of you. Not in the emotional or spiritual sense. Your spirit will acknowledge their assignment before your intellect can make words. Chosen one. This upcoming encounter is defined by compassion. It won't overwhelm you. It will not take more than you are able to provide. It will not make you feel compelled or bewildered. In contrast, it will have the sense of still water after a long period of drought. It will be suggestive of warmth after a cold season. You will feel a sensation similar to breathing again in locations where you were before unaware of being suffocated. This individual does not intend to steal from you. They are on their way to give you the blessings that God has placed upon them for your benefit. They may say something to confirm your spirit be present to balance your emotions, or make a gesture to tell you that you are loved, appreciated, and remembered. However, they will provide the most compelling evidence that you have not been overlooked. Evidence that the skies are moving. Evidence that God continues to write fresh chapters. Evidence that you are so important that the Almighty inspired another person to act on your behalf. Additionally, you must prepare for this confrontation. It will not just affect your emotional state. It will change your perspective. You will begin to see yourself in a new light. You will start to see your future in a new way. You'll start to see God's near in a new light. Because heavenly appointments bring more than just solace. They reassess. They restore vision. They aid in the rehabilitation of identity. They invoke fate. You have experienced long times of darkness, yet the divine is calling you back into the light. You have been silent for a long time, but heaven is finally allowing you to speak again. Despite the fact that you have been waiting for a long time, heaven is finally bringing the promise to life. And as the next hour develops, your spirit must remain open. Expectation is not a sign of foolishness. Naivety is not synonymous with hope. Transparency is not indicative of vulnerability. These are signs that your spirit is active and attentive. Someone is approaching with heavenly intent, not confusion or noise. They have a supernatural mission that carries your name. When they arrive, your heart will understand the issue before your head can express it. The time has come for you to wake up. I want you to feel the weight of the divine presence that is currently surrounding your life as we move through this sacred unfolding. You are not simply approaching a transition. You are currently at the entrance to a divine portal. This is the experience that every anointed one has right before a supernatural turning of the page. Your spirit perceives motion before manifestation. This is why you've had a mix of restlessness and anticipation, as well as an unusual sense of alertness and tiredness. You've been both cautious and eager to move forward. This is the sensation that occurs as destiny approaches and your spirit detects its breath. Chosen one. Heaven is in the process of presenting you to someone who will have an impact on both your circumstances and your identity. A person whose presence will serve as a reminder of who you have always been, despite the passage of time and the weight of disappointments. You have been through seasons that attempted to disguise your own worth. You've suffered losses that have prompted you to question the value of your life. Heaven has never moved on, even when you have felt the world move on without you. This hour demonstrates that heaven has kept your name in its breath from the beginning. The heavenly teaching has stirred, woken, and positioned the person who is approaching you. They may not understand why they feel compelled to approach you, but heaven recognizes that this is not a human mood or emotional drive. This is orchestration, and divine orchestration is always precise. Heaven never delivers someone early or late. They arrive when the soil in your heart is receptive enough to receive and sturdy enough to maintain them. The majority of people fail to see the pattern that occurs prior to these supernatural encounters. Isolation becomes more common. Memories of the past are surfacing. The bosom is burdened with an unexpected weight. Tears frequently fall without warning. Regression is not the case. It is the process of preparation. Heaven awakens suppressed emotions as upcoming events require a large span of open space to enter your reality. The heart that is closed off cannot allow healing clarity, encouragement, or restoration to flourish. As a result, heaven softens the ground at first, often causing a sensation of shattering. However, breaking is not considered a type of destruction. It is undergoing renovations. I'd want to relate a personal experience from my own path, just one. There was a time in my life when everything familiar to me appeared to vanish. Friendships suffered changes. Opportunities have diminished. My prayers were hushed. Furthermore, I wondered if my season of purpose had quietly ended. However, at the time, I was still having difficulty providing a full explanation. Heaven dropped someone unexpectedly into my orbit who I had no prior acquaintance with. This person's spirit projected a unique peacefulness. Something within me was reignited during a single discussion exchange or moment of realization. I realized that heaven had not been silent. Heaven had prepared a voice for me that I would not have heard in any other season. It taught me a great lesson which I must share with you. Divine timing is rarely acceptable. Nevertheless, it is always impeccable. Chosen one. The person entering your life has an impeccable timed assignment. Their presence will bring out qualities of yourself that you may have neglected. It's possible they'll voice an opinion comparable to one you've never expressed. They may display a kindness that relaxes your formerly stiff defenses. Your trembling areas could be steadied by their strength. They may arrive in person by phone call or message, and their presence will feel like breathing again in an uncomfortable environment. It is critical that you mentally prepare for this, as connections sent from heaven are not the same as those created on earth. They are instantaneously familiar, as if your spirit recognized them before your head had a chance to catch up. They feel secure, as if your heart is murmuring, "I can rest here." They have a deliberate character, as if your existence has been waiting for this moment for a long time. And that sense is not a function of imagination. It is an acknowledgement. Your spirit is tuned into the frequency of divine purpose, and it is the spirit that detects the vibration when an object from heaven makes touch with earth. This is why I implore you not to ignore the emotions that have been building within you. Not a sudden emergence of sensitivity. Not the unexplained ambition. Not the subtle discomfort. It is not the craving for connection you thought you had suppressed years ago. These are not indicative of vulnerability. They are markers of readiness. Heaven stimulates your emotional and spiritual receptors, assuring that you don't miss the advent. This moment is too important to miss, too sacred to pass up, and too transformative to let fear or skepticism keep you from experiencing it. This is a fact you must accept, Anointed One. You're entitled to this. Connecting with you should be considered a precious experience. You are entitled to a sense of security in your environment. You are entitled to a companion who recognizes your worth. You have the right to engage in talks that renew the outdated and injured. You are entitled to experiences that serve as reminders that God is aware of your location. This miraculous surprise is not an act of charity. It's a result of inheritance. It's the outcome of your quivering prayers. It demonstrates that heaven remembers what the earth ignores. Raise your head. Selected one. Allow your spirit to grow. Reduce your rate of respiration. A celestial messenger approaches, ushering in the next chapter of your destiny. When they arrive, you will understand why the war was so severe, why there was such a long wait, and what time heaven intervened. Your life is about to experience a subtle, profound, and miraculous change. Chosen one. I want you to feel the sacredness of this moment as we move into the next level of revelation, as if it were a mantle that encircled you. You aren't reading or listening by accident. The disclosure is not yet complete, and heaven continues to lure you in. Before the divine appointment arrives at your home, you must first understand some extra information. Heaven is not the place to send you into this moment unprepared. You have seen, survived, and traveled through so much. What is to come is sacred, and your heart has the right to meet it with clarity rather than uncertainty, openness rather than dread, and anticipation rather than surrender. And so heaven continues to speak to you layer by layer, preparing your inner ground for what will soon enter your outer life. Chosen one. An interior event occurs shortly before heaven's external modification of your narrative. Old memories re-emerge not to torment you, but to teach you. Regrets begin to mutter not to disgrace you, but to set you free. Questions emerge like smoke, not because you have lost faith, but because you are abandoning an old identity. This is the manifestation of inward transformation. It is unorganized. It lacked polish. It is unpredictable. It is a sacred unraveling that makes way for newness, stirring, and stretching. And that is exactly where you are right now in the sacred tension between your past and future. The person from heaven is not coming to laud the person you claim to be. They're on their path to rediscovering your genuine identity. Heaven has always known a version of you that is unaffected by disappointment, desertion, or loneliness. Initially, this awakening may be overpowering since your heart has been burdened with a slew of responsibilities. However, as the chosen one, practice self-compassion. Transformation is rarely a positive experience. Destiny is rarely convenient. Heaven, on the other hand, never triggers something you can't control. In actuality, heaven brings out the traits that you were born with. One reality that I have continually learned on my personal journey is one that I would want to share with you because it will help you identify what is coming up. Every time God prepared to move my story forward, He brought someone into my life who saw a characteristic in me that I had previously neglected. They didn't compliment me. They did not perform for me. They only addressed a part of me that had become inert. In that moment, I realized that heaven frequently communicates with you through the reflection that someone else shows you. Not a reflection of your wounds, but rather of your calling. It does not represent your weaknesses, but rather your faith. Heaven uses people to provide as reminders of the parts of oneself that suffering tried to suppress. This is exactly what is in store for you. Someone is approaching who can see past your age, shyness, and guardedness. Someone who will not be intimidated by your depth or bewildered by your intricacy. An individual who will respect your narrative because the Almighty has already transmitted your worth to their spirit. And one that has been chosen. It is critical that you anticipate the time when they speak, as you will recognize the voice of fate. You may not have the language to express it, and you may not fully realize it. However, you will feel it, that undeniable shift, that hallowed familiarity, that soft internal click that suggests that this moment was written long before I lived it. Heaven is giving you all of these warnings, whispers, and stirrings because heavenly appointments are easy to miss when your heart has grown accustomed to disappointments. To avoid damage, you have learned to control your own expectations. You have learned to anticipate the worst-case scenario in order to avoid future surprises. You've learned to keep your expectations in check. However, paradise invites you to forsake survival mode. Heaven is beckoning you to a state of receiving since the upcoming events are not designed to hurt you. It is meant to bring you blessings. Anointed. You must allow yourself to believe that this experience is not too good to be true. It is critical that you allow yourself to think that heaven continues to provide endings that promote healing. You must allow yourself to emerge from the emotional fortifications you have built out of need. Those walls once protected you, but they may now prevent you from getting the blessings you have desired. Heaven is too loyal to you to allow that to happen. This is why this moment requires preparation, not because you are weak, but because the knowledge you are about to receive is important. Additionally, it is critical that you keep the following object. Additionally, this person is getting ready for your arrival. They also have injuries. Additionally, they carry narratives. Additionally, they transport prayers. Heaven has decided that the intersection of your lives will be restorative for both of you. This is not a unilateral blessing. This is a spiritual rebalancing, a heavenly trade, and a shared awakening. One that has been selected. Your heart is not too old to be stirred. Your life is not yet entrenched enough to change. Rewriting your narrative is not an unduly difficult task. Heaven is renowned for its late-night marvels. And this particular hour, transports a miracle that is perfectly matched to your requirements. Maintain a positive attitude and remain aware. The divine interruption is arriving, and your spirit is preparing to unite with it. One that has been selected. As we proceed into the final phase of revelation, allow your spirit to settle into a posture of holy anticipation. This moment has been the culmination of all you've felt aroused inside you and whispered through the corridors of your soul. Heaven isn't only preparing you for an encounter. Heaven is preparing you for release. A release of the weight, fear, loneliness, and remnants of each season that tried to persuade you that your narrative was coming to an end. The event occurring in front of you is not the book's end. It marks the beginning of a chapter reserved by heaven for this moment. And now the Spirit is bringing to a close what was begun in the unseen with divine intent. One that has been selected. You must recognize that the divine appointment that is approaching your life is not an isolated occurrence. It is related with a more significant change in your destiny. You've felt stuck for years, but heaven has actually been shaping and refining you in preparation for a mission that requires spiritual sensitivity, depth, and maturity. Calibration was the root cause of what you viewed as standstill. What you viewed as a delay was, in fact, a sort of preparation. And what appeared to be quiet was actually heaven reorganizing the landscape of your life so that the right person might find you at the right time with no obstacles. You may not fully grasp the purpose of this upcoming interaction, but God does. Heaven sees the entire story of your life rather than just the current chapter. Heaven knows about the unanswered prayers, the wounds that need to be healed, and the desires that persist like embers that refuse to die. Heaven has accounted for every tear, every lonely night, and every whispered longing that no one on earth heard you express. This is why the messenger does not arrive without anything. Heaven has placed inside them elements such as a word presence, recognition, reminder, and shift. Something that will reconnect you with pieces of yourself that you thought had been lost over time. Now allow me to address a deep component of your existence that you may not have previously discussed. A part of you has assumed that the most important times, meaningful relationships, and transforming encounters are behind you. You told yourself that the season was over, the door had closed, and your heart had already gone through its most significant chapters. Heaven, on the other hand, does not assign significance based on age or development. Heaven evaluates significance by assignments, and yours remains incomplete. This is why paradise brings someone into your life at a moment when most people believe that everything is going to an end. Heaven does not meet earthly expectations. Heaven is reacting to the divine timing. It is something I know both spiritually and personally. I've witnessed seasons that appeared to be coming to an end only to discover that they were merely intersections. I thought heaven had finished speaking until I heard an unexpected voice. God sometimes does his most meaningful work in the quiet seasons, the ignored seasons, and the years when we believe nothing substantial can still happen rather than in our youth strength or most conspicuous years. Those are the years when heaven conducts its most intricate jobs, and the delicate labor has been going on within you. The person approaching your life does not intend to upset your peace. They are on their way to increasing its size. They are not on their way to causing trouble. They're on their way to providing clarity. They will not return to rekindle old wounds. They are here to introduce new therapeutic approaches. Their presence will be like entering a space where the air is more breathable. Your heart can beat again, and your spirit is understood without having to express itself. You will not have to impress them. You will not have to perform for them. You will not be expected to hide your exhaustion or improve your language. This is a divine alignment, not a human one. Before your mind can deny it, their spirit will see your worth. And this recognition, this divine familiarity will be the proof your heart has been longing for, that heaven has not forgotten you, that your existence continues to unfold with purpose, and that your tale is still being written with aim. However, you must also prepare yourself for this, your chosen reality. This engagement is not just about the rewards you will obtain. The subject is what you are going to release. Heaven has bestowed on you the wisdom sought by another person. Heaven has put storylines in you that will inspire others. Heaven has equipped you with grace which will elicit a reaction from another person's spirit. This is why divine appointments are never unilateral. They are mutually ordained, healing, awakened, and activated. I want you to remember this final revelation in your spirit as the final moments before your divine surprise unfold. Nothing in your life was squandered. Every season had a unique function. Every delay disguised an advantage. Every heartbreak provided an opportunity for enlightenment. Each lonely night softened your heart in anticipation of the words coming from above. You weren't overlooked. You were adequately prepared. Heaven has chosen this hour for you, chosen one. This is the moment your spirit has been noticing. This is the alignment that your prayers have influenced. Someone is approaching with purpose, a mission, and the imprint of paradise upon their entrance. And when they enter your world, you will finally understand why you traveled so far, why you had to wait, and why heaven chose you for this extraordinary visitation. The time has come for you. Your spirit is aware of it. The heavens have proclaimed this, and it is about to manifest in your life. As we complete this sacred time chosen, one, allow your spirit to rest in the knowing that heaven has already acted on your behalf. The divine interruption which we already described is not near. It is in the process of unfolding. You are currently at your Kairos moment, which is God's allotted time for supernatural transfer and breakthrough alignment. The hour has been set. The messenger has been awoken. The surprise has already left the hands of heaven and is on its way to you. May God's serenity envelop you like a mantle, anointed one. May you get courage. May anticipation activate parts that were previously numb. The upcoming event is not small. It is imbued with destiny. It is a source of healing. It has the clear markings of a deity who never forgot your name. I bless your home, the power of your steps, your joy and spirit, and the coming hour. Proceed with thankfulness, reverence, and an open mind toward the indications that the heavens will bring. And when your miracle happens, be ready to testify. Distribute it. Allow it to fortify another chosen person who is still waiting their chance. If this message connected with you, please leave a comment so that we can pray for you. Please maintain your connection. Maintain your alignment. Continue to anticipate. Your divine surprise is not in the future. Presently, this is the case. May God bless you, chosen one. one that has been selected. As we complete this precious time, allow your spirit to rest in the assurance that heaven has already acted on your behalf. The divine interruption which we already described is not near. It is in the process of unfolding. You are currently at your Kairos moment, which is God's allotted time for supernatural transfer and breakthrough alignment. The hour has been set. The messenger has been awoken. The surprise has already left the hands of heaven and is on its way to you. May God's serenity envelop you like a mantle anointed one. May you get courage. May anticipation activate parts that were previously numb. The upcoming event is not small. It is imbued with destiny. It is a source of healing. It has the clear markings of a deity who never forgot your name. I bless your home, your steps, your spirit, and your joy for the future hour. Proceed with thankfulness, reverence, and an open mind toward the indications that the heavens will bring. And when your miracle happens, be ready to testify. Distribute it. Allow it to fortify another chosen person who is still waiting their chance. If this message connected with you, please leave a comment so that we can pray for you. Please maintain your connection. Maintain a sense of expectation and alignment. Your divine surprise is not in the future. Presently, this is the case. May God bless you, chosen one. Selected individual, stop. Do not underestimate the significance of this moment, because if you leave now, you will miss out on an opportunity that will never come again. You are not here by chance, and this is not a random event. The fact that you are currently hearing these words is an indication of the events that have begun. A precise arrangement has been made, and you were supposed to arrive at this specific location before it occurred. Pay close attention. The upcoming events are neither ordinary nor distant. You were drawn to this location because a transformation is taking place in your immediate surroundings. Something has been quietly developing in the background and is about to become apparent to you. This is why you are feeling a subtle pressure and heightened alertness in your spirit. It functions as an indicator. A threshold is being crossed. Tomorrow is not a typical morning. Something will have entered you by the time you wake up. Although not initially loud, it is undeniable. It will change your perspective on the events that have occurred and the reasons for the intense anticipation. Suddenly, what appeared to be delayed makes sense, and what felt stuck starts to move. This isn't a gradual process, it's an interruption. It is not your imagination if you feel a quiet stirring inside you. It is an acknowledgement. It was intended that you receive this information before the end of the shift. Please refrain from leaving at this time. The following moments set the tone for the events that will unfold, and if you stay in this location, your morning will be drastically altered. Tomorrow isn't just another sunrise. It is a meeting place that has been meticulously planned. A moment that has been approaching you all your life, despite your inability to notice it. You were not disregarded. You were chosen. This is the point at which heaven and time merge, and a new chapter unfolds within you. Remember the long periods of anticipation, the silent perseverance, and the prayers you never said out loud. Every tear was recorded. Every ache was acknowledged. Nothing was wasted. The sensation of silence was due to formation, and the signal has since changed. The season of anticipation is coming to an end, and preparation is no longer an option, much like a seed pressing through frozen soil. A living entity has been operating within you for a long time prior to the appearance of symptoms. Now is the time for you to blossom. God has never awaited the achievement of perfection. He reacts to surrendering. Your wounds did not make you ineligible. They gave you instructions. Your scars are evidence of survival, not failure. And as the night settles, a quiet beginning emerges, marked by determination rather than noise. While the rest of the world sleeps, internal preparedness grows. The message is very clear. Be prepared, because the upcoming event will disrupt established patterns. Imagine a force that does not destroy you, but rather liberates you. Limits are dissolving, and old restraints are losing their grip not gradually, but decisively. This is not an example of symbolism. This is an intervention. It is similar to a divine tremor that disrupts what is incompatible with you. We are preparing for the arrival of necessary items. History remembers moments like these. Gideon hid himself until his courage returned. Ruth was gleaning in the shadows until her faithfulness was met by destiny. David was preoccupied with the care of sheep while a crown waited in silence. Esther made the decision to advance when her entire lineage was at stake. No, these weren't accidents. Neither are yours. What is to come is very personal. A breakthrough that is specific to your calling. Not just external transformation, but internal rebirth. Awakening dormant gifts. Make an effort to start a fire once more. Encourage your life's progression through each layer. You will witness what others regard as miracles and come to understand the deeper truth. You're assimilating. Before we begin, I'd like to request that you perform an action that appears simple but has significant consequences. If this message speaks to you, please take a moment to like this video. This is not a casual gesture, but rather an agreement. A declaration that you are willing to be present for the revelations that God is revealing, and that you prefer alignment to distraction. Also, if you have not already done so, please subscribe to this channel and enable notifications. This is not just about sticking to the content. It is about staying connected to a steady stream of messages designed to keep you alert, focused, and moving in the right direction. Your presence here is critical to ensuring that these words continue to reach those in greatest need as we approach 10,000 subscribers. The weight of tomorrow's early hours is unavoidable. This moment represents a threshold, a point of intersection where an unseen force applies pressure to time. You are being summoned to rise early and stand on the cusp of an awakening that has been approaching your life for longer than you realize. This shaking is not intended to cause you to break. It is meant to liberate you. The outdated thoughts that kept you small. You develop the ability to manage your fears. The constraints you had previously accepted as the norm are starting to loosen their grip. They create space for the next stage of growth in the same way that dry leaves fall from a tree. This movement cannot be contained. It will affect all aspects of your life. Things that were previously stagnant will begin to breathe once more. Relationships will undergo change. Paths that appeared closed will open without difficulty. The burden you've carried will be lifted. Not because life becomes easier, but because you achieve alignment. Your presence will open doors that have been closed for years. There will be no use of force to deliver what you have patiently waited for. Dawn has always been a time of electricity. It is recorded in the Bible. Abraham awoke early before the promise was fulfilled. Hannah's grief was exacerbated by her encounter with God earlier in the day. While the camp was still in darkness, Moses climbed the mountain. Before the world demands their attention, these hours have always been reserved for those who are willing to listen. When you get up early, you join a tradition of awakening. This was not an accident. You're motivated by command, not habit. Your body will wake up earlier tomorrow morning. Something within you will ignite, not slowly or softly, but with clarity. A fire will erupt, separating routine and calling. This is the process of activation. The transition from survival to assignment. There will be a sharp and alive feeling in your awareness. Everything you've been through, including the waiting, questions, and silent faith, will come together to create momentum. Your perception will be enhanced. You will suddenly feel a sense of order in an otherwise perplexing situation. Doubt will start to dissipate, much like fog in the presence of light. You will recognize your calling not as an idea, but as a sense of knowing that what was meant for you a long time ago is finally within reach. This awakening will not be concealed within you. It will expand. Your presence will be significant. Those around you will feel a sense of stability and lift, even if they are unaware of the cause. A force is awakening within you, not for display but for impact. The world will start to feel this force. This is an important decision. You may unintentionally progress toward destruction if you continue to move without discernment. As a result, pause, have a holy moment right here, and become completely present. I'd like to talk about something more serious right now. You have undergone a difficult journey for a reason. You were never meant to be crushed by the resistance you've faced. It was designed to give you the ability to confront a magnitude of glory that you have yet to witness. You developed patience as a result of each delay. Each closed door sharpened your discerning abilities. Every betrayal improves your ability to trust the appropriate voice. You were preparing for an endeavor that required extraordinary strength. Not the kind that never falls, but the kind that gets back up after being knocked down several times. Comfort is not conducive to the development of this strength. It can only be forged in fire, and the fire you traversed was not random. It was tailored to the items you would be transporting. Some are called to lead, others are called to heal, create, or intercede. A specific type of breaking was required for your calling to ensure that nothing could shake you loose once you entered it. This was acknowledged by the adversary. This is why the attacks were perceived as highly personal. This is the reason for the extreme isolation. This explains why the pain persisted for so long. You did not receive any form of punishment. You were preparing, and now it has been completed. Every lesson you learned in the valley will be useful for the situation you are about to face. The patience you developed during times of stagnation. The faith you built when you were blind. The fortitude you developed when you had to rise once more. None of it was wasted. Each of these elements was essential. Something is critical for you to understand regarding the upcoming anointing. Qualified individuals do not have access to it. It is given to people who have surrendered. God does not seek polished vessels. He seeks people who are willing to participate. He doesn't wait for you to know all the answers. With all of his questions unanswered, he waits for your response. Your inadequacy is not a hindrance. It's an invitation. When you are feeling unprepared, you are at your most prepared. Because you are aware that you are unable to complete this task independently. And that is precisely where God intends for you. Moses stuttered, but he carried the message that liberated a nation, relying on his own strength rather than his own. He was dependent, leaning, and trusting. Gideon was in hiding, but he transformed into a warrior who led a small army of 300 men. The church was built on the rock that Peter rejected, but he eventually became its foundation. Paul was persecuted, but he spread the gospel more than any other person. Your past does not make you ineligible. It establishes your position. After your spirit has fully absorbed this truth, I would like to encourage you to apply this message in a practical way. Navigate to the comments section and type either 999 or 777. Allow this to be your marker, a declaration to the heavens and the earth. I'm not disoriented. I've been located. I'm not damaged. My body is currently being reconstructed. I've not been overlooked. I've been selected. Please include the location from which you are viewing the numbers. Your city, your country. Let's look at how widely this term is used. We should observe as God gathers His remnant from every corner of the earth. This isn't a personal matter for you. Your participation in the comments is an essential part of this movement. The upcoming awakening will not only affect your personal life, it will cause contagious effects. Your family will be affected by what comes from your spirit. The changes in your household will have an impact on the community. The events in your city will have an impact on surrounding regions. Kingdom movements begin in this manner. A single person awakens, a single life aligns, and a single heart says yes. You were never meant to be saved for your own benefit. As a gateway, you were meant to be a door that opens for others, a beacon that lights the way for those who are still in the dark. This is why your breakthrough is important beyond your own life. It is the beginning of a much larger project. When Lazarus emerged from the tomb, it was about more than just him. It was about everyone who had witnessed the impossible. It was about Mary and Martha figuring out that denial is not the same as delay. It was about the disciples realizing that death did not have the final say. The testimony of a single resurrection had a significant impact on an entire region. The same will be true for your narrative. The places where you were previously confined will transform into places where you can free others. The weapons you provide to those who are still fighting will be based on the battles you won in secret. Breaking bread for those who are hungry will demonstrate the wisdom you gained in the wilderness. This is the impact of a life that has been transformed. It is never completely private. It always becomes public, not because you want attention, but because light has a natural tendency to shine. And when others notice your transformation, they will inquire. They will be interested in learning about what happened. They will desire what you have, and you will have the solution. Jesus is His given name, but it is important to understand this. Awakening is not an automatic process. Your participation is necessary. Although God is in motion, you must accompany Him. He is currently speaking, however, you must pay attention. He opens doors, but you must step through them. This is a partnership that combines divine initiative and human response, heaven and earth, spirit and flesh. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, don't roll over and go back to sleep. Don't treat it like any other day. Awaken with a purpose. Awaken with anticipation. Wake up with the knowledge that something is expecting your arrival in the early hours. Before the noise starts, take a seat in the silence. Access your Bible. Allow your heart to expand. Allow His first words to be what you hear. Ensure that your initial thoughts are consistent with reality. Allow His presence to influence the initial desires you have. This is how awakenings are managed. You provide it with space. You let it develop. You prioritize it, and you will notice something. Various sensations will accompany the day. Not because of unexpected changes in circumstances, but because of your own transformation. Your perspective will become more acute. Your discernment will be more clear. Your self-assurance will become more consistent. You will approach the day with confidence that was previously lacking. Individuals will observe it. They will ask if there is anything unusual about you, and you will smile because you are aware of the specific circumstances. Before the world could define your identity, you met God. You aligned with heaven before the possibility of being distracted by earth. You were able to recall your identity before the day's test. This is the influence of a consecrated morning. Sets the tone. It creates the ambiance. It determines what is available to you and what is not. Everything else must be adjusted once you are in His presence. Chaos cannot affect you in the same way when you begin in alignment. Lies become ineffective when they are grounded in reality. Please allow me to delve deeper into the events that are occurring. Many people never experience this level of intimacy with God. It is not unavailable. Rather, it requires a type of surrender that the majority refuses to make. It necessitates giving up control. When one cannot see, one must rely on trust. It necessitates staying when your instinct is to flee. However, you've already shown your willingness. Your perseverance during the waiting period serves as proof. This is demonstrated by your steadfastness in your beliefs, despite the lack of any rational explanation. The fact that you are still present, listening, and pressing in suggests that you are ready for the upcoming events. What follows is a level of intimacy with God that is rarely discussed, in which His voice is not distant but constant, His presence is not intermittent but continuous, and His guidance is not vague but specific. Shap. You are on the verge of a place where the supernatural becomes the norm, where miracles are not uncommon but expected, and where provision is not a source of anxiety but rather of confidence. This isn't arrogance. This refers to inheritance. You are a child of the King. You've been granted access to the throne room. You have been given the same level of authority on earth that you have in heaven. You have been given the authority to do things that Jesus did not do while on earth. This isn't theology. This is the truth, and it's yours. However, the majority overlooks the following. It is necessary to claim inheritance. It is necessary to exercise authority. It is critical to utilize access. Many have received much, but they continue to live in poverty because they failed to claim what was already theirs. They have the promises in their minds but have never placed them in their hearts. They believe in His abilities, but they have never tried to use them. You are being summoned out of your passive state. You are being encouraged to seize, persist, and engage in a struggle not for victory, but because of victory. The battle is already won. The adversary has already been defeated. The impact of death has already subsided. You're not attempting to acquire anything. You are enforcing what has previously been declared. This change in posture alters everything. The atmosphere around you shifts when you stop begging and start declaring, when you stop asking if and start commanding that, when you stop hoping maybe and start knowing absolutely. Heaven responds. Angels are capable of moving. Demons flee. And what was previously immobilized begins to flow. This authority will rise in your chest when you wake up tomorrow morning. You will communicate with the mountains, and they will respond. Your command will bring peace and put an end to the storms. You will break the cycle of barrenness and release blessings. Not because you're exceptional, but because you've finally accepted your true identity. This realization brings with it responsibility. The more you receive, the more you are expected to give. As your access grows, so will your responsibility. Walking at this power level makes it impossible to maintain a casual lifestyle. You are unable to maintain this anointing while also considering compromise. You are unable to manage this authority and continue to participate in activities that are not intended for you. The call is currently at a high volume. The standard is now more understandable. The expectations are currently high. However, grace is present. The same is true for strength. The same is true for providing all that has been requested of you. God does not assign you a task without providing you with the necessary resources. He does not promote you unless you are properly prepared. He will not open a door unless he has provided the necessary items to get through it. This is the point at which trust becomes real. He believes he can and will succeed, not just with the hope that he will, but with the certainty that he has already done so. Faith evolves from an idea to a way of life, from mental conviction to physical conviction. Fear has no place to land once that conviction has been established. There is no space for doubt to grow. Worry is unable to establish itself because of your connection to a source that is greater than your circumstances. You are founded on unbreakable dedication. Your foundation is unshakable. Please let that sink in for a moment. You are about to enter the most stable period of your life. Not because of the peacefulness of the surroundings, but because of the stability of your own being. The storms will occur. The exams will happen. The pressure will increase. However, you will not be convinced. If this resonates with you, I urge you to take immediate action. Even if you've already clicked the like button, please do it again. Allow it to function as an additional witness. Confirmation. An amendment to God's work in you, as well as an additional comment. An appropriate breakthrough. I am prepared. Certainly. Allow your words to create a spiritual sound. Allow your agreement to liberate what the heavens contain. The sound of agreement is significant. It causes change. It damages objects. It promotes the release of substances. When God's people work together, the enemy's plans are disrupted. When believers start saying the same thing, hell has to adjust. Nothing can stop the movement of the body of Christ when it functions as a unified entity. You are part of that sound. Your voice is significant. Your agreement is significant. Your declaration is significant. Do not underestimate the impact of your affirmative response. Please do not undermine the significance of your obedience. Do not minimize the impact of your faith. You are not diminutive. You're not insignificant. You are not just another member of the crowd. You've been selected. You are distinguished. You've been identified. Consequently, that mark will become visible tomorrow morning. Not to all, but to those with the ability to perceive. They'll notice a distinction. They will notice a change. They will be drawn to the change. This is the allure of transformation. It is unnecessary for it to make any announcement. It does not have to advertise. It does not have to persuade anyone of anything. It simply is. This concludes the matter. Transformed lives attract hungry hearts. Seekers are drawn to renewed minds. Healed spirits become safe places for the broken. You will become a refuge without trying. A light without striving. A source without forcing. It will happen naturally because it is not you doing it. It is Him doing it through you. And when people ask how, when they wonder why, when they want to know what changed, you will have one answer. Jesus. Not a formula. Not a method. Not a 5-step plan. Just a name. Just a person. Just a relationship. and that simplicity will confound the wise. It will baffle the educated. It will frustrate the religious because they want complexity. They want steps. They want something they can control. But this is not about control. This is about surrender. And surrender leads to a freedom that control could never produce. When you let go, he takes over. When you stop striving, he starts moving. When you cease your efforts, his power is perfected. This is the paradox of the kingdom. Strength in weakness. Gain through loss. Life through death. The last becomes first. The least becoming greatest. Everything upside down from how the world operates. And yet, this is where true power resides. As the night deepens and the dawn approaches, heaven is aligning resources. Angels are taking position. Doors are unlocking. Paths are clearing. What has been held back is being released. What has been delayed is being delivered. What has been promised is being fulfilled. Is this something that speaks to you? That stirring in your spirit? That quickening in your heart? That sense that something is about to break wide open? It is not the product of your imagination. That isn't just wishful thinking. That is the Holy Spirit bearing witness with your spirit that the time is now. No more waiting. No more wondering. No more questions. The season has shifted. The time has come. The moment has arrived. Additionally, you are prepared. More ready than you realize. More prepared than you know. More equipped than you understand. Everything you went through was for this. Every battle you fought was training for this. Every test you passed was preparation for this. There were no arbitrary elements. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was meaningless. It all had purpose. It all had reason. It all had destiny attached to it. And now, the destiny that was always yours is stepping out of the shadows. It is moving from the invisible to the visible. It is transitioning from promise to reality, and you get to witness it. You get to participate in it. You get to walk in it. This is your inheritance. This is your portion. This is your kingdom assignment. Not what someone else was called to. Not what another person is walking in. But what was specifically designed for you, prepared for you, reserved for you. Heavenly Father, I stand before you in this sacred hour of transition. I recognize that I am on the edge of something that has been in motion long before I was aware. I acknowledge that my life has been moving toward this moment, that every season, every trial, every victory was leading me here. I open my heart fully to you now. No more holding back. No more protecting myself. No more playing it safe. I release every fear that has kept me bound, every doubt that has kept me small, every lie that has kept me distant. I let it all go. I receive the fire you have placed within me. Not a fire of my own making, but the sacred fire of your presence, your power, your purpose. Let it burn away everything that is not of you. Let it consume every compromise, every distraction, every substitution. Let only what is pure remain. I ask that you awaken what has been dormant. Resurrect what seemed dead. Restore what was broken. Renew what has grown weary. Refresh what has gone stale. Make me new in every way that matters. As I prepare to step into tomorrow, I ask for clarity that cannot be confused, direction that cannot be questioned, strength that cannot be depleted, faith that cannot be shaken, love that cannot be diminished, grace that cannot be exhausted. Open every door you have prepared for me. Close every door that would lead me astray. Connect me with every person I am meant to meet. Separate me from every relationship that would hold me back. Provide every resource I will need. Remove every obstacle that would block my path. I say yes to your calling, even with the parts I do not yet understand. I say yes to your timing, even when it does not match mine. I say yes to your methods, even when they look nothing like what I expected. I say yes to your plan, even when I cannot see the full picture. I declare that I am yours fully, completely, unreservedly. My life is not my own. My gifts are not for me. My calling is not about me. I am a vessel. I am an instrument. I am a tool in your hands. Use me as you see fit. Send me where you will. Shape me into what you need. I receive this awakening not just for myself, but for all those my life will touch. For the families that will be restored through my obedience. For the hearts that will be healed through my story. For the lost who will be found because I said yes. For the broken who will be made whole because I walked through my own breaking. Let my life be a testimony that you are still moving, still speaking, still healing, still delivering, still transforming. Let my story give hope to those who have lost it. Let my journey give strength to those who are weary. Let my breakthrough give faith to those who are waiting. I am ready, Father, ready to release the old, ready to receive the new, ready to step into everything you have prepared. I am aligned. I have surrendered. I am yours now and always. I concur. If your spirit is saying amen, if your heart is in agreement, let that be known. Press like on this message. Let it be a witness in the digital space that matches the witness in your spirit. And subscribe to stay connected to this flow, not just as a viewer, but as a participant in what God is doing across the earth. As we are moving toward our goal of 10,000 subscribers, your support helps this message reach further than I could ever take it alone. And if you feel led to bless this ministry financially, you can do so through the Super Thanks feature. Your generosity helps keep these messages free and available to everyone who needs them. Then go to the comments one final time. Write 999 or 777 along with the word ready and share your location so we can see how far this word is traveling. Let us create a sound together, a collective yes that rises from every nation, every language, every people group. If tomorrow morning truly marks the moment everything in your life shifts, are you prepared to let go of who you were in order to become who you were meant to be? This is the question that will meet you at dawn. And how you answer will determine what follows.
Shawa, choose courage, choose faith, choose trust, choose to believe that he who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it.
Choose to walk forward even when you cannot see the full path. Choose to say yes even when you do not have all the answers. Because on the other side of that, yes is a life you cannot yet imagine, a purpose you cannot yet comprehend, an impact you cannot yet measure. Tomorrow you wake as someone new. The old life ends tonight. The new life begins at dawn. Heaven is watching. Angels are waiting. The Spirit is hovering. All of creation is holding its breath to see what you will do. Will you rise? Will you respond? Will you receive? You were not brought this far to turn back now. You were made for more, called to more, destined for more. And tomorrow morning, that more begins. Prepare yourself. Stay awake. Keep watch. The awakening is here. The breakthrough is now. The transformation is upon you. Open your eyes. Allow your heart to expand. Open your hands. This is your opportunity. This is your time. This is your season. Tomorrow everything changes. But tonight, you decide. Choose life. Choose a purpose. Choose destiny. Choose Him. Sleep tonight knowing that when you wake, nothing will be the same. This is your awakening. This is your emergence. Step into it with everything you are. The dawn is coming, and with it, your destiny. I concur. We all ascend toward the light,